Hello everybody, welcome to a new episode of Sport Talk. I am your host Evan, and today I am joined with Zach and John. And today we have a lot of good topics to discuss, including the Super Bowl recap, the future of both teams in the Super Bowl. Is Stafford a Hall of Famer? Did Cooper Kupp have the best offensive season of all time? And is Aaron Donald the greatest defensive player of all time? But before we start, check us out on YouTube at Sport Talk and TikTok and Instagram at Sport.Talk Podcast, and we'll jump right into it. Starting off with the Super Bowl, obviously that's the biggest game of the year, and we all watched it together, and the outcome was not what we hoped for, but the Rams ended up winning 23-20, and I just want to get your guys' thoughts on the game. We'll start with you, Zach. What was your thoughts on the game?
I think it was a really disappointing loss for the Bengals, to be honest. I think it was a very winnable game. The Bengals are one of three teams, I believe is what it was, to lose the Super Bowl being +2 turnovers. They the Rams threw 2 picks, and the Bengals still lost the game. Yeah, tough loss.
That was one of the most entertaining Super Bowls I've seen.
I agree.
I mean, really, like, obviously I was depressed that my team lost, but at the same time, that's honestly one of the most entertaining Super Bowls, like, as a football fan that I've watched. The reason the Bengals lost the game, obviously, is because of the O-line. Joe Burrow had literally no time in the pocket. He was hit a ridiculous amount of times.
He was sacked 7 times.
Yeah, sacked 7 times.
Six times in the second half.
Yeah, and that's
Total breakdown by the offensive line.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely pitiful performance. I think
It was bad.
I think the Titans playoff game was probably the worst performance I've ever seen put on by an offensive line.
This was
But
a
this
close
was right
second.
behind it.
Right
Yeah, this was right
behind
behind
it,
it.
I think this one is now Titans is worse because
I mean, they let up 9 sacks.
Yeah.
okay, but you gotta understand with like the Rams though, they have a ridiculous defensive line.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's hard to block those guys the whole game, but not give up 7 sacks. That is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's no other team really. I mean, I don't know of any other team that did that this whole season. I mean, I don't know.
I can't think of any.
I don't know if the Rams got that many sacks on anybody.
I never heard of a team. I never heard of a team making the playoffs and giving up like 7 sacks in a game the whole season.
Yeah, no, I mean, the Rams' defensive line is really good, so I guess you do have to give them credit. I mean, Aaron
they have
Donald
the best one of the best defensive players ever.
Yeah, I mean,
on their line.
Obviously you got to give them credit for that. I mean, it's just
And also
they're
they
good
have
defensive
Von
line.
Miller, another Hall of Famer.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just that like I really think that if the Bengals had a better offensive line, they would be Super Bowl champions right now.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I in all honesty.
But also,
you can rip on Eli Apple as much as you want. Yes, he's not that good, but I truly think even with him not being that good, the Bengals could have won the game if it wasn't for the offensive line.
and also you could also say that the Rams could have ran away with it if Odell was healthy.
Yeah, Odell at the first half was definitely probably the best player on the.
He was the best.
He was the best
he was the best player on the
field.
field, and then he got injured.
Yeah, but
I'm not saying he's the best player on the field. I'm saying he was playing like he was.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
playing well. I don't think the Rams would have necessarily ran away with it though.
I think it still would have been close, but it would have.
But it wouldn't have been
the
as
point,
close.
Yeah, the point margin would have been a little bit different. But I agree with you, John. Like, this was probably the most entertaining Super Bowl that I have seen in the last 3 or 4 years. Because this one we didn't know who was going to win. I feel like in past ones when the Chiefs or whatever were in there, we were like, okay, the Chiefs are probably going to win
the
this.
The Chiefs and the 49ers, when the Chiefs won their first one, I thought that was a really good game.
Yeah,
That was a very good game as well.
I just feel like
But you bet
this one was one of the. It was so close that it could go any way at any time, and that showed one drive. Determined the whole game. Mm-hmm. And like you said about the offensive line, if the offensive line blocks for 2 seconds, the Bengals win the Super Bowl. I believe because Jamar Chase was streaking down the field wide open.
He had Jalen Ramsey on the ground.
Yeah. So I think if the offensive line just was just average, then they would have won this game.
But I think,
plus, Joe Burrow wouldn't have had that knee scare, which thank God is not super serious. But
just a sprained MCL, right?
Yeah. But you still never want to put your franchise quarterback in those types of situations.
You never want to have your quarterback even getting that.
No.
I mean, like, the Bengals really dodged a bullet.
Yeah.
This should be a very clear wake. I think it should have been a very clear wake up call when he tore his ACL.
Yeah.
That, hey, we need to fix the line. But I think, Jamar Chase was the right pick. Obviously, that was a really good pick. You know, we have the Bengals arguably have like the best weapons in the NFL. So that worked out well. But now it's like you got to fix the offensive line.
Well, this game is the game that will either make or break the Bengals. If they don't fix this, it's going to be a rough couple of years. But if they fix the problems, they are going to be a legitimate dynasty, kind of like the Chiefs are right now.
Yeah. I honestly think, in all honesty, and yes, I realize the Ravens are going to be healthy next year. The Chiefs are going to be tough.
I don't think the Ravens are as good as people say they are.
I don't think they are either. But, I'm just saying that, more than likely they'll be healthy. The Chiefs are going to be tough. The Bills are going to be tough. They're always tough. The Chargers are getting pretty good. But in all honesty, as good as the AFC is, I really think if the Bengals fix their line, and, everybody keeps improving, everybody just gets another offseason under their belts, and they fix the line, I really think I could see them in the Super Bowl again next year. And honestly.
I don't think it's that far.
And I really think they could win it. I really think they can. Who has a better... the Bengals have the best skill players in the NFL. That team of skill players is the best in the league, led by one of the best.
We have two.
Chase and Mixon are
Chase and Mixon Pro Bowlers.
T. Higgins probably could be a Pro Bowler.
And Joe Burrow got snubbed.
Burrow was an honorable Pro Bowler.
T. Higgins has been an 1,000-yard receiver his first 2 years in the NFL.
Yeah, and he's only going to get better.
Yeah, I think that the Bengals have a very, very bright, they're in the right direction. I think if they don't blow it and they fix the offensive line and they re-sign Jesse Bates, I think they're going to be in a really good position for the next couple of years.
Yeah. There was something I saw where Joe Burrow, he got sacked, tied for most. He was sacked most in a playoff span.
Yeah, I think
he was sacked the most out of any quarterback.
Him and somebody else were tied for first.
Yeah, but I also think
it was 7. No, not 7.
I also think he was. I think he was sacked I don't know if it was the most or not, but he was sacked 70 times.
I think that was third all time.
Yeah, so he played 21 games this year, and he was sacked 70 times.
Yeah, you can't.
Absolutely unacceptable. That is atrocious.
So 70 times in 21 games. That's over 3 times a game. He's being
awful.
sacked.
That's terrible.
That is ridiculous.
The offensive line is a glaring hole. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how they made it this far with that line.
Well, that just speaks to the skill of every other position on the field, other than corner,
and how good their defense is. Yeah. The Bengals' defense is really good.
The Bengals' defense is really good.
Their defense was the reason why they made it to the Super Bowl.
Correct. Yeah, it was because their defense stepped up in every single game. The offense was a little bit sluggish, but I think that's just due to the line.
Yeah, I don't think the offense had an insane playoffs.
But I think that's because of the line, though.
Exactly.
Yes. Well, the nice
they did enough to get the job done, and then the defense.
I think if they fix the line, in the coming, next season, they can be tough on both sides.
Well, the Bengals,
their defense won't carry them; it'll be both.
Yeah,
the Bengals have the 4th most cap space available in the NFL.
Yes, they have $55 million.
Yes, so they can literally almost get any lineman free agent or and draft good linemen. We can have pretty much a whole new line if we want to by next season.
Yeah,
which is what they need to do.
Yes, other than Jonah Williams, you scrap everyone else.
I think Jonah Williams is.
Maybe keep Riley Reef.
Riley Reef's 33, man.
I would. If you can sign him on the low just for depth purposes, that's not bad.
Yeah, if they can sign him on a very
because I would rather him be my second tackle than Isaiah Prince be my second.
No, for sure.
Well, but Riley Reef was injured, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that the Bengals need to target Teron Armstead. If they get him, I think the only problem with that though is if they get him, they would have to move Jonah Williams to right tackle.
That wouldn't be. That would not be an issue.
Well, I don't think it'd be an issue, but I know they've said in the past that they like him at left.
If you watch his film, he is a ridiculously good left tackle.
Well, yeah, he's good, but
He's
also
pretty freaking good.
But I think didn't Jonah Williams play right at Alabama? I thought I read somewhere that he played right tackle at Alabama.
I wouldn't be
at a
surprised.
certain point. I think at a certain point he did.
The thing is that if you bring in Teron Armstead, he's literally a Hall of Fame left tackle, like probably one of the better left tackles to play in the NFL. If you sign him, you're not going to move him to right.
Yeah,
you're going to let him play left tackle. He's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
And I think that Brandon, I don't know how to say his last name, but from Washington, we need to bring him.
Yeah,
in.
that's who I want.
He would massively help our interior line. I think we have the money to sign both of them.
Yeah,
and if we do,
have
that
to,
right there would be. I mean, that would be a big.
It depends how. So the 55 million. The 55 million is a bit can get skewed because that is without re-signing Jesse Bates. So Jesse Bates will knock off probably 10 to 15 off of that.
But even with that, we still have
like
far
40
more cap space than most teams.
And also,
if he takes 15 a year, then 40 million, that you can still get a solid line out of that.
You can get a good line with that.
Yeah, I mean, you can sign probably Scherf, a right tackle, and then draft some sort of interior.
Well, I mean, if they re-sign Bates, I think re-signing Bates is a must. They have to re-sign Jesse Bates. So I think you knock off that $15 million or whatever, you have to have him. Well, but with that remaining money, you can sign the Brandon Scherf or whatever, that guard, because our interior line is probably our weakest point of the line.
Yeah,
our interior line sucks. So
our interior and our left tackle, every position, every position but left tackle is the weakness of the team.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't mind the Bengals spending every single pick except the second round pick on linemen, because that is a glaring error. And you put
would be totally okay.
And the second round pick, you do a corner.
That's what
just
I said.
to put that's either going to put pressure on Eli Apple to where he'll shut up off the field and get better, or that guy will replace Eli Apple and that solves the problem. Now,
if you cut Eli Apple, that saves some cap space.
I don't think we are cutting him. He's a solid corner.
I think it was Trey Waynes. I've heard that.
Oh, Trey Waynes.
That they want to cut because he's
the guy that ran out there in slides, right?
No, that was Hargraves.
Oh, they should cut him.
That dude's.
I think he's a free agent. I don't think he's coming back. But I think Trey Waynes. I think if you cut him, I think that saves a couple million, which would be good.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that guy running onto the field for a second?
Yeah.
Vernon Hargraves.
What the heck was he thinking? He was in slides.
Yeah,
running onto the field.
He wasn't even playing, and he just ran on. I mean, that cost him 15 yards, which
was really dumb.
I mean, I was listening to somebody that 15 yards put them because they were backed up a little bit on their own. Like I think they were at like the 10 or something, and with the 15 they were at the 25. So their playbook opened a lot more, and then they ended up scoring on that drive. So I mean, I'm not saying that if that guy doesn't run out, then it changes things, but it makes it a little bit harder. It was just stupid.
It was just dumb by him.
You don't want somebody that dumb in your locker room. That's all I'm saying.
No. So I think I agree. I said that though. I agree with that draft wise. First round, the first round they need to take like the best lineman available.
Yes, what I wouldn't mind either is trading some mid to late round picks to move up to a higher draft pick in the first round to get a premier lineman.
Well, the Bengals have 9 picks in this year's draft.
Correct.
So
they could trade.
That's not a bad idea.
Correct. They could trade some of them. Like I think we have maybe like 2 5th-round picks or something.
I think we have 2 7ths and probably 2 5ths.
I think we have.
If you make a package for those and they move up a couple of
our
places,
first round and like 2 5ths or something for a higher first round, I would not mind that at all if we're getting a premier lineman.
Well, and like even if they like package that and just move up a couple of picks. Because, I mean, obviously, they're not going to move into the top 5 and get Evan Neal. But, like, just move up a couple of picks so that they can get that Linderbaum out of Iowa.
Like a 20.
Because Linderbaum won't fall to 31, I doubt.
No.
But if they can if they can move up just a couple of picks, like maybe 25 or something, maybe
25 to 20,
they'd probably be able to get him.
I think. I know we were saying that the Bengals needed to get like linemen last year, which I definitely think they should have. But I mean, this year's the perfect year to do it. This is probably one of the deepest lineman classes we've seen in a long time. There's multiple first round talents from guard, tackle. There's like this is the deepest I've seen a draft for offensive linemen.
It's a good line.
Well,
So
it's kind of shallow for almost every other position. Too.
Yeah, it's deep in corners and
Which is
offensive
perfect.
line,
Which
which
is
is perfect for the
which
Bengals.
is the two positions we need.
Yeah.
the
But
most.
I think the they drafted a couple of linemen last season though. It's just
Yeah,
none of
they
those guys are
drafted-
really. I mean, they
they
drafted
drafted
Carmen,
Carmen.
and then they drafted like 2 other offensive linemen. It's just none of them are like. I mean,
Yeah, they just didn't have a chance to play, and if they did, they.
I mean,
they were
I mean,
rookies,
they
so
would
they
just
didn't
be another
expect
Isaiah
much.
Prince.
I mean, I know they're rookies, but like, I don't know, man. I'm to the point now where it's like they've
you
got
need guys that are proven.
They've got to get guys in here that are gonna like. Well, I think they need to sign free agents that are proven and will protect immediately. But like, they need to hit on the drafts. Like, they need to hit on the draft picks they're using on linemen because once these free agents are gone, they got to have guys they drafted come in and that can still get the job.
We've hit on almost every single position we have drafted except
the offensive line.
Like even I thought it was a stretch for us drafting Logan Wilson, and he
He's a
panned out
stud.
very well, very well.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see that Joseph Osai, or however you say his name, from Texas. We got him in the 3rd round next year. He's
Solid
Pretty good.
dude.
Yeah. So continuing with the Bengals, I think one of the main, obviously the biggest reason they lost, I think, was the offensive line. But some say that the play calling that sometimes was questionable, which I think there were a few which you could, if you change, might be a little bit different. And then some people think at the end there the reffing was pretty poor, which I think it was. I mean, they let him play the whole game, and then like when it counts most, you start calling like flags.
the reffing was
and
very
I didn't
poor.
agree. I didn't agree with some of them, but granted, there was ones where they missed for the Rams and ones they missed for the Bengals.
the reffing at the end of the game there was very poor though.
Yeah.
That call on Logan Wilson was absolutely atrocious.
It was bad.
It was a very, very poor reffing, and I think play calling wise, I'm not on this like whole thing where like, oh, Zach Taylor, you know,
No.
just like he's a bad play caller. I'm not.
Well,
on
he's
that.
not even
Zach
a play
Taylor-
caller.
Exactly. And Zach Taylor literally has came in here and changed the standard. He's changed the attitude of the franchise, and he's turned us around. He put the Bengals in the Super Bowl within 3 years
Yeah.
of being there.
He
Like,
just
I am
signed an
all for
extension.
Zach Taylor. I think he is a great coach. I think he is great for the organization. He's doing great things in Cincinnati. I will say, however, play calling wise though, I think one, it's not even him.
Yeah.
But 2, I think that the only thing that I personally disagree with is the fact that they didn't have Joe Mixon on the field on the last drive of the game.
Instead of Samaje.
Yeah, they had Samaje Perine on the
Yeah.
field instead of Joe Mixon. I do disagree with that.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. I mean,
That's
you
more
He was,
personnel.
that drive, he was the most. That was his
Okay,
most
but also-
consistent
I mean,
drive.
But also with
Joe Mixon is like a $40 million running back.
and he's a top 5 rusher this season.
He is one of the best running backs in the NFL. He was 3rd in the league in rushing, and you don't have him on the field in the biggest moment of the season.
But also-
I don't follow that.
Okay, but also
that's my only complaint.
But
about
also,
play calling.
you can flip that around and say, why didn't the lineman make a bigger gap for Samaje to run through? Because
I know it's both.
Because
Aaron
if
Donald.
they do that,
Yeah.
we're not even having this conversation. Bengals won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I don't care. It wasn't the play calling
Mm-hmm.
because the play calling kept us in the game the whole game.
Yeah.
The only failure was on the offensive line.
I think
There was-
everything leads back to the offensive line.
Everything,
Yeah.
no matter every rabbit trail we can go down to of blaming goes on the offensive line, except the reffing.
Yes.
The reffing was I think it was atrocious the whole game because
Yeah.
they were allowing a lot of no calls the whole game
Until
like
the very end.
like the aggressive face mask that T. Higgins had.
Yeah,
that
he got away
one
with
of
that
the
one.
worst
he got
no
away with
calls
that one.
I've seen.
Yeah.
And I think that Rams would freak out at the NFL if the Bengals would have won and that was one of our touchdowns.
Yeah,
That's payback for what they did against the
but then
Saints.
they just randomly in the last 2 minutes of the game start calling everything.
Yeah, it's
100%. Like the smallest thing you could call a penalty on, they called it.
Yeah. The reffing inside of 2 minutes was completely awful. But
You have to have a standard to where you're going to call it the same
Exactly.
way
But
instead
I'm
of
also,
throwing
like-
it on everything.
I'm also not jumping on the refs for this because I don't think it's the refs' fault.
It's not the refs'
I
fault.
think everything leads back to the offensive line of the Bengals. Honestly.
Yeah.
Like you said, every possible scenario as to how they win the Super Bowl all leads back
You
to the
blame
line.
it on Zach Taylor.
Number-
It's not his fault that his lineman didn't make a big
Exactly.
enough gap for
That's
Samaje.
one.
And also,
Number-
Samaje Perine is the bigger back, so that's probably what he was thinking. Give the bigger back the ball to ram it in.
I think the reason that they had Pirine in is because they put him in for more passing situations, for pass blocks. I think they were trying to make it seem like they were passing, but then they ran it. But Aaron Donald just blew the play out.
But I think of all the three things that you can say went wrong, so one, play calling, it's not Zach Taylor. No. Two,
Samaj or the offensive coordinator. I think that was a decent play call.
I don't have any problem with any.
I think you have to mix it in there.
I agree with that, but besides that, I have no issues with any.
I do. There is one. I think it was the very first drive of the game. They went for it on 4th down, which I thought was a little questionable.
I think that was Joe Burrow's fault. That was a stupid pass. He had Pirine running out of the backfield wide open. That was not the play call.
It was not the play call. It was 100% Joe Burrow.
I am all for that aggression too. It was 4th and 1 in the Super Bowl. Go for it.
Exactly. Joe Burrow. If we would look down on that, and if we lost, we would say, why didn't we go for it on 4th? You know what I mean? It's like they've been aggressive the whole year. So stay with that same mentality and still be aggressive in the Super Bowl.
I like the aggression. I think they need to keep up that aggression in the coming years. They should fix the line.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. I know the Bengals lost, but I thought it was impressive because obviously you could tell this wasn't Burrow's best game. He has played better, but he got the job done. But even they still scored 20 points, and Burrow didn't have to carry the load on offense.
Neither of the quarterbacks really played that great, honestly. No, Matthew Stafford played worse than Joe Burrow.
Yeah, he had, but also he had 2 interceptions, but he had 3 touchdowns and 283. But I think they both played.
They both played.
I thought Burrow threw for more yards than Stafford.
They both played mediocre games.
Burrow threw for 220 less.
Oh, I thought he threw for more. Either way, both of them played mediocre games.
Both of the quarterbacks
Stafford would have played lights out, I would say, if it wasn't for the 2 picks.
Yeah.
I think both played very mediocre games.
Yeah, both of the quarterbacks weren't the reason why they
both were underwhelming. But it was every other position that affected the game more than the quarterback.
Yeah. Well, and I know Joe Burrow came out and said that he said, I didn't play very well.
Yeah.
I'm not dogging on him. The dude got the Bengals to the Super Bowl. He is the franchise quarterback. He's an insane quarterback. But
everyone has a rough game, and I also think that will, it'll be like the hit that he took against, I forget who it was in college.
Yeah, where after who was the undefeated team? It was UCF.
Yes, UCF. He got that massive hit on him, and then after that, he just went crazy.
Yeah,
I think that him having that game will be a milestone to where everyone's going to look back and say, from that point on, he was a cold-blooded killer even more than when he was.
I think I agree, honestly. Yeah. And when they lost the Super Bowl, and I was kind of just thinking about everything, I thought of that play. Yeah. I remembered that play, and I remember that he got clocked on that, and I don't even know if they won that game.
I don't know.
They might have. I don't know. Either way, though, Joe Burrow got rocked. He didn't have a great game that game. And
I think he turned the ball over, I think, on that play,
did.
Too. Yeah.
From that point on, he did not lose a college game.
Yeah.
So I think
that Super Bowl loss may turn him into a Tom Brady like player even more than what he was.
That honestly, we don't know. It's all speculation until the next season comes. Yeah. But by this time next year, the Bengals could be Super Bowl champions, and we could be saying, that game, that Super Bowl 2 years ago,
is what fed
that
into
is
it.
Good. That happened. That needed to happen.
Yeah,
exactly. The Bengals losing to the Rams 2 years ago, that needed to happen.
Mm-hmm. One thing I did see, I was watching his post-game interview, and he said on the week off we had during that week before the AFC Championship and the Pro Bowl, he said, I watched A Football Life of Kurt Warner, and he said, obviously, Kurt Warner won with The Greatest Show on Turf, and then he ended up losing the next season. And he said, we were so, that loss stung so much that we completely forgot about our Super Bowl last year and what we did to get to the Super Bowl. And he said, and that was one thing that Kurt Warner, regretted. And he said, yes, Joe said, yes, it hurts that we lost, obviously, and I wish that the outcome would have been different, but that still doesn't take anything away from how we played this season. And he said, I think that we can't take this season for granted, and we have to appreciate for how well we did and how far we've came. And I think that just speaks to Joe Burrow's character.
I think from Joe Burrow and the Bengals' perspective is that loss stings and it sucks, but I think it needs to be fuel for the next couple seasons, and I think it will be. I think it is.
Yeah.
But also, like you said, like he said, they have to look at what all they accomplished this year. They beat the Chiefs twice. One of them at Arrowhead. They won a road playoff game for the first time in franchise history. Burrow broke the franchise yards and touchdowns record.
Jamar
Chase was Rookie of the Year, insane. Burrow was Comeback Player of the Year after that nasty ACL injury. The Bengals did so much this year that nobody thought they were going to do, and they have accomplished already way more than I thought they would for the next 3 years.
They took an atrocious football team to the Super Bowl in 1 year.
I know. So, I mean,
that speaks volumes for itself. The Bengals, who have been pretty much just the mockery of the league for 20 years plus.
Yeah.
And now they're back to the Super Bowl, and everyone thinks that they could be the next dynasty.
I think that I think that really is what it. I mean, I think all this game has to be is just fuel for them.
Yeah.
Like they don't need to sit there and think what could have been, if our offensive line was better, or the refs don't call that call. Whatever, it's in the past. Move on and just let that fuel you to work harder and get back here next year and win the game.
100%.
And I think with Joe Burrow and just the kind of guy he is, having him in the locker room, I think that's how they're going to take it.
Yeah.
I honestly, I really truly think, I really feel that if the Bengals fix the offensive line, then they have a very good chance at going right back next year and maybe winning it. I mean, in all honesty.
Let's go to the Rams side of this game for a little bit. Cooper Kupp won the Super Bowl MVP.
As he should.
Yeah, that was deserving. I think Cooper Kupp was one of the standout players.
Yeah,
because neither of the quarterbacks were really.
The only player on the Rams that I could have given the
Aaron Donald.
Yeah, Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's the only other player that I really could say won them the Super Bowl.
Aaron Donald was quiet until the second half, though.
Yeah.
Cooper Kupp was making noise pretty much the whole game.
Yeah, that final drive.
I was saying other than him. I wasn't saying.
Other than.
I wasn't saying that he shouldn't have gotten it. I'm just saying that Aaron Donald had a heck of a game too.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I think Cooper Kupp definitely deserved it. He had 92 yards and 2 touchdowns, and obviously led them in that final drive when he ended up scoring on that goal line fade against Eli Apple. But I mean, Aaron Donald played out of his mind. He ended with 3 tackles and 2 sacks, and he had the biggest tackle of the game, rushing in there on the last play and tackling Burrow before he could get the ball out. And, I mean, I was nervous going into the game on how the Bengals would play against him and Kupp, and obviously they lost to Aaron Donald and Cooper Kupp. That was so. I mean, there was Cooper Kupp. Everyone's crapping on Eli Apple. Yes, he didn't play well, and he could have done stuff better, but no one's been able to stop Cooper Kupp all season. So, like you said, you can't put the blame fully on him. And Aaron Donald, obviously, our line sucks, and Aaron Donald is the best defensive player right now, and he had his way in that second half. And there's really not much that you can do when you have that guy running at you.
When you have one of the worst offensive lines in football going up against one of the best defensive players,
Well, and also back to the Eli Apple thing, the reason everybody's completely destroying him right now is because he talked smack and then couldn't back it up.
Yeah.
You're seeing, I mean, that's literally what happened. He talked a bunch of smack, and he's paying the consequences now online, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the thing is, no other corner is dumb enough to talk smack when they're facing Cooper Kupp next week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was dumb on him, but also nobody in the league can guard Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford.
Yeah,
their connection is
phenomenal.
I think it's better than Devontae this year. It was better than the Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
I think so. I
agree with that. One thing I was interesting is, which I didn't notice in the game, but the Rams barely rushed the ball, and when they did, they got nothing out of it. Like Cam Akers, who had a stellar, first playoff game? Was that the first playoff game?
I think so.
He had a really good
against
I forget who they played. But he only had 13 carries for 21 yards, and I mean, they have 3 quality backs in Sony Michel, Darrell Henderson, and Cam Akers, and the Bengals shut all of them down. And we were talking about how Odell, before he tore his ACL, was having a phenomenal game in that first half. And
he might have won MVP. He might have won MVP if he was.
I mean,
healthy. The way he was playing.
Yeah, he could.
They just have so many weapons.
He was. He
So
was.
the Bengals.
He was shredding them.
Yeah, but the Rams are good in the trenches too, unlike the Bengals.
Yeah, they have Andrew Whitworth, a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at stats wise, if you look at it, the only player on offense that did anything like efficient was Cooper Kupp. I mean, Stafford obviously gave Cooper Kupp the ball, which helped them out. But like Van Jefferson, who's been a really good wide receiver 3, he only had 4 catches for 23 yards. And I mean, Odell had 2 for 52, but he only played a half because he unfortunately got hurt. Mm-hmm. And then, I mean, on defense, like we said, letting up 7 sacks, that's going to look real good for you. And it was weird because, I mean, I think the first half of that for the Bengals at least, that was probably the best that the offensive line had played in the playoffs.
Oh yeah,
and they only allowed the second half
against that line.
Yeah, and then the second half was the second worst in the. I know, which I find interesting.
Yeah,
but I mean, like Von Miller wasn't even that much. I mean,
It really wasn't Von Miller. It was just Donald. It was just Aaron Donald.
Von Miller had 2 sacks, but I didn't feel like watching that game that Von Miller was really destroying us.
I wasn't afraid of Von Miller every play. I was afraid of Aaron Donald every play.
Yeah.
Which I'm not saying... Well, obviously that's every game because Aaron Donald is a way better player than Von Miller.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it's like I wasn't also thinking about Von Miller. I was just worried about, okay, just get the ball out of his freaking hands.
Yeah.
And one thing to take note of is Jalen Ramsey. He was obviously on Jamar Chase a majority of the game. He switched between him and T. Higgins, but he had the worst game of his career.
Yes.
Yeah.
He allowed 168 yards, which is the most he's ever allowed. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, if we're being completely honest, like I said, the Bengals lost to Cooper Kupp and Aaron Donald. It wasn't anybody else that they lost to. They lost to Cooper Kupp and Aaron Donald.
Going into the week, I was never concerned with Jalen Ramsey.
I was a little concerned.
I wasn't concerned about it.
Well, I thought,
hey, I mean, if he does shut down Jamar Chase, I don't know if he
still
can,
have
but if he does,
multiple other options.
Yeah, I was not concerned about their DBs at all, honestly. Yeah. And I will say I was surprised at how bad he got torched. But I think that just goes to show how good Jamar Chase is.
Yeah, I mean, he got torched by him and Higgins. Yeah,
like both of those guys are like so good. I mean, Jalen Ramsey is the best corner in the league. It's not even a question. Yeah. And Chase and Higgins tore him up.
Yeah,
like badly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like we were saying earlier. Obviously, we're all Bengals fans, and we wish they would have won. But I think America as a whole is glad that like Stafford and Kupp and all those guys won.
I think a lot of people wanted to see the Bengals.
No, I know they do
because they're kind of the Cinderella.
But everyone, this Super Bowl, everyone wanted the Cinderella, but also everybody wanted all those guys who would never.
Exactly. The Rams have a lot of guys that deserve
all those guys who deserve the ring. Like everyone must see Von Miller get another one. Everybody wanted to see Aaron Donald get his first one. Everyone wanted to see Stafford get his first one.
Stafford, Kupp, and Donald.
And ESPN wanted and
Odell.
OBJ to get one. They've been talking about him nonstop.
Well, I don't.
They've been. I mean, ESPN has like something for OBJ because they do not stop talking about him.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously disappointed that the Bengals lost. But I'm happy for Stafford. But I think I would feel a little bit better for the Rams if the game didn't come down to like the last play. If we knew like before that there was no way that the Bengals could have came back or could have won, then I would have been. Then I've been like, okay, they did their best and stuff didn't work out. But on that last play, if like we were talking about, if Burrow has 2 seconds, the Bengals win the game.
Yeah.
So that's what I think for me was made it a little bit harder for me to like root or to how do I say this?
Accept the Rams?
Yeah, accept like them winning. Yeah.
I would have rather seen us lose by 14 than lose how we did. Because I would rather say, okay, it was a fun game. This whole ride was fun. But we lost. We're the worst team, but to where it was, can our line block for another 1 to 2 seconds and we could have won the game? That is the most painful thing.
But see, I don't totally agree because the fact that the Bengals only lost that game due to the offensive line is really promising for their future. Because the Rams are a star-studded, literally built super team. Like, they have
they're taking that
vast array of veteran superstars. And the Bengals literally only lost to them by a mere second because they couldn't block up front.
Yes.
That shows that the Bengals are a very good and legitimate football team that, if they fix the line, are here to stay and probably go back to at least one more Super Bowl in the coming years.
Yeah, they literally took kind of like when the Warriors in the NBA took KD from OKC and built a super team just to win a ring.
I know. That's what the Rams did.
That's
what the Rams
literally
did.
what the Rams did. They took Von Miller. They took Matthew Stafford. They just you know what? We're going to win this year.
The Rams built to win this year.
Yes.
And the Bengals
fact
almost spoiled that.
I know.
If they had a competent offensive line, they would have beat this super team.
They built themselves up from the ground up compared to we're just going to spend money like crazy this year.
So that's funny.
That's why I think I'm like, I understand what you guys are saying, but in my mind, if that happens, it seems more like, the Bengals, they just weren't good enough. They just didn't. They aren't here yet. They didn't really stand a chance. But it's like, no. They stood a chance. They should have and could have won that game.
I was saying, on an emotional level, as a fan, it's very hard to see your team be so close and yet still lose compared to, me as a fan. I know it's a lot more encouraging to see your team do well, but also it's I would rather not have that gut-wrenching pain. You know what I mean?
I do agree with that, but on the other side of that gut-wrenching pain, it's kind of like, because I was in a terrible mood. I was absolutely heartbroken. I was in a terrible mood.
You did not say anything for.
I know. I was in an awful mood. I was insanely depressed. But I think
the only thing you said was bye when I left.
Yeah, but when you look back, when you get over that and you look at it, you're like, holy crap! The Bengals are a very good football team.
Yes.
This team is built for the future. They very well can get at least one ring in the next couple of years. Yeah. I mean, this is a really good team.
This is the first time I can.
They almost beat literally the NFL's built superstar veteran team with a bunch of rookies and second-year players.
This is the first time I can very proudly say that I am proud to be a Bengals fan.
Yeah, for real. They are a good team. They are a good football team, and they're here to stay.
There were two things after this game that I found funny. One of them was that it was basically a tale of two opposite viewpoints. One is trade every pick you have to get substantial players and win now, and the other one was use every pick you have to build from the bottom up. And so it was kind of funny.
Two opposite philosophies.
Yeah.
Those both worked.
Exactly.
Which I think we talked about this in a different podcast with the NBA.
Yeah.
I'm personally more on the side of build through the draft because then I think if you build up through the draft, then you're building your team for several years. Whereas if you trade everybody just now, you're built to win now.
Yeah.
Just this year.
Like we said in that one, there's a risk
but also
in
no
that,
NBA.
and the Bengals.
Both of those
have an equal amount of risk and reward,
and both of them could end up in a Super Bowl ring. It's just the fact of from the way I view it, if you're building through the draft and you're bringing in young guys and developing them and building that way, then you're building more to be a team that can win several. Yeah. Whereas if you're doing what the Rams do, where you trade all your picks, get every superstar you can now, you're winning now, but they probably won't win anymore for a while.
Exactly, because cap space is going to run out.
Yeah.
People want to get paid. They're going to move on from the team. Whereas the Bengals have so many people still on their rookie contract. They have pretty much half their stars on rookie contracts to where they're not paying much at all for them, so they can build the line and still have enough to pay.
Well,
them.
and the Bengals, I think by draft, building through the draft and stuff, I think that speaks to building your way of doing things, building up your strategy,
your
culture. That's what I'm looking for. I think by building through the draft, you are also building your culture better. Whereas a team like the Rams, where they just trade everybody, get them in here now, let's win now. We're gonna win now, and then we won't win ever again because all you guys are going to be gone.
Exactly.
I mean, whereas the Bengals...
It builds a long-term camaraderie.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas, the Bengals, yes, they lost this game. They could have won. They lost it, though. But they're in a good spot for the next several years. They could win at least one and be back who knows how many times.
Yeah.
I mean, they're built for built for multiple Super Bowls.
Another thing that I found that was funny is so this was one of the most watched Super Bowls in a while, and the statistic was the majority of people watching were either from Detroit or Cincinnati. And then the Rams had their Super Bowl parade a couple of days ago, and nobody showed up.
Yeah, there was nobody
showed
there.
up.
I saw that. I was
and the Bengals they're
the Bengals
welcome home.
Yeah,
welcome home.
There was more people
there.
at the Bengals welcome home parade after they lost
Yeah.
than the Rams Super Bowl champion parade.
Well, that shows how much football means to small market teams like Cincinnati, like Detroit, where football is there's nothing.
Football
to do.
in Ohio is very
exactly.
important.
Yes, football in
big
Ohio is important, but also just these smaller markets. It's they don't have 1,500 things to do.
Yeah.
It's we watch football on Sundays because that's pretty much all we have to do.
Yeah.
So
I honestly thought that was a little bit depressing.
I know.
I
just looked at. I'm dude.
That's what. I was like, do they really deserve this?
It's
Because nobody really cares.
No, nobody cares.
They couldn't even fill up their own stadium.
If the Bengals would have won,
there were more Bengals fans in SoFi than Rams.
There were more.
They
That was a trend for most games. There was more opposing.
There was more opposing.
Nobody cares. The Rams won. Now, okay.
Go back to St. Louis.
I like the Rams. I mean, I think they're a cool organization.
I just think
cool
LA
uniforms,
has so many teams.
But they don't. Nobody cares.
Yeah, I mean, LA has so many teams.
They don't need two football teams.
Yeah, plus
in
football,
the same stadium.
Plus football for them, they're a basketball.
Los Angeles is not even sports, man. They're wild out there. I don't know what they are.
But if you when you think of Los Angeles, you think of the Lakers.
You think of Lakers. That's about it.
Yeah, and I
that's
mean,
the only
they haven't
team
they haven't had football.
Maybe
until,
maybe the Angels.
Yeah. Dodgers.
Yeah.
Dodgers and Lakers are what you think of when you think of LA.
LA sports.
And then they just got recently the Rams and the Chargers.
Well, the Rams have historically been in Los Angeles.
I know,
they
but
started
then they
in LA, moved to St. Louis, and came back.
I think one of the two LA teams needs to move back to St. Louis.
I think
the
Chargers should just go back to San Diego,
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I understand
they had a very solid fan base there.
I
But
know.
also, I don't think there should be so many teams in California.
Yeah, I mean, there's two for each.
Right,
there's
but-
two for each major sport in LA.
Yeah, it's
by
like-
itself. That's at least 6 teams for
Well,
major
and it's
sports.
not like they're in separate stadiums like New York. They're representing different areas of New York.
Yeah.
Knicks, it's this area. The Nets, it's this area. The fans around that go to see that team play. Whereas you have the Chargers and the Rams in the same stadium, representing the same area, and it's not. Yeah,
It's no.
Yeah.
I honestly, I kind of felt bad.
It
for
makes
the Rams.
sense. It makes sense in New York having them two separate areas, but representing two different areas. But it doesn't make sense having them in the same stadium in the same town, and they're not even filling up a full stadium for either.
Yeah.
I think I kind of felt bad for the Rams after that. I mean, that's honestly really kind of sad. I mean, they just won the world championship of football.
They're the best football team in the world,
and nobody
gives a
Nobody
crap.
cared.
I mean, I guarantee you, if the Bengals would have won, I guarantee you that city would have been
School would have been canceled
wild.
for a week.
And I mean, their parade would have been
Ridiculous.
Insane. Their parade for them coming back home after losing the game was bigger than the Rams' parade winning the game.
That is ridiculous. Just imagine if they won. I would have gone down.
I would have.
Yeah.
But I just think that also goes to show how great, how good of fans the Bengals have. I mean, they lost the Super Bowl, and and these fans are still cheering.
Hey,
for
you
them.
you guys gave us so much joy this year. Thank you.
Yeah. That, the Bengals have very good fans, and they're finally rewarding the fans for it.
Yeah.
They're actually a good team now.
Before we end this segment, I just want to get both of your guys' opinion on this year's halftime show, because everyone loved it, and I just want to get your guys' opinion.
I thought it was good. I thought it was the best one of recent years,
Yeah,
for sure.
I'd agree.
Okay, at the start, they didn't really EQ the mics well, so you couldn't hear, like, Snoop and Dre that well. But they kind of, like, fixed it throughout the show, and I think that was the sweetest halftime show I've seen in a while. Mm-hmm. They had Mary J. Blige on there a little too long, but, because, like, they had her on there a little bit too long. But other than that, I think it was appropriate. I think they maybe should have had Kendrick do a little bit more, or, you know, Eminem do a little bit more. But other than that, I thought it was a very fun show.
Yeah, I think it was probably the best that we've seen in a couple years.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, it's the best we've seen in years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we started talking about this a little bit. So we'll just make this quick. We were talking earlier on how the Bengals need offensive line. They need to re-sign Jesse Bates, and that we think that they'll eventually be back if they do so. And then, but one of the things that I have that I did hear was Dan Orlowski, who you guys probably know. He was on air. I think it was the Monday after the Super Bowl, and he said something which I thought was interesting and disheartening at the same time. He said that he believes that Joe Burrow will be the next Andrew Luck if they don't fix the line, which I think is a legitimate scare.
That is 100% true.
Yeah.
If they don't fix the line.
Yeah.
If
But
they
also-
fix the line, he could be the next Tom Brady.
Exactly.
I mean, it's like, it's like, just fix the line. I
know. Yeah.
Yes, I think that is an accurate assessment because Andrew Luck had all the talent in the world. Mm-hmm. He just couldn't stay healthy because he didn't have an offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
And
all you have to do is fix the line, and all these concerns are eliminated.
Yeah.
That's the only thing they have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, like,
everything goes back to the offensive line.
it's like, Joe Burrow is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Just fix the line.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
And on
you fix the line, he'll get. If the Bengals fix the line, Joe Burrow will bring us he will bring them a championship.
Every conversation about the Bengals ends with they need to fix the line, no matter what it is.
Because it's true.
Yes.
Yeah.
If the Bengals actually fix the offensive line, Joe Burrow will bring them a Super Bowl.
Correct.
The Bengals will be Super Bowl champions if they fix the line.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying next year, but
Eventually.
at some
Joe Burrow
point,
will win the ring.
At some point in the next couple years, if they fix the line, they will be Super Bowl champions.
Joe Burrow will win a ring.
Yes. In Cincinnati, if they fix that line.
Yes.
Yeah. And on the Rams side of things, after the Super Bowl, there was question if Aaron Donald and Sean McVay would both retire, which I think they've came out and said that they aren't. But
Yeah, Sean McVay said he's not.
yeah, and I'm pretty sure. I
obviously,
know
he's 36.
Aaron Donald said if you guys re-sign Von Miller and Odell, I'm coming back. If you don't, then I'm going to leave.
Okay.
So.
I don't know. We'll see.
And we were talking about how if they can keep everything together with how much great players they have, and obviously people wanting their money. But one thing that came to me is they don't have any picks for like a long time. Mm-hmm. And do you think that in the future will end up hurting them?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
obviously they did what they could to win the ring, and they I don't think they'd change it. Mm-hmm. But I don't like you were talking about. I don't think they're going to have this sustained success as like the Bengals.
It will
have.
hurt them. It will hurt them.
There's no way it's not going to.
It will hurt them. I mean, even if they can somehow manage to bring this whole super team back again next year, who's to say they're going to win it again?
Well, and who on that team?
I mean, the Buccaneers won it against the Chiefs. They brought all 22 starters back. They did not go to the Super Bowl.
Well,
so just because they bring everybody back does not guarantee they're going to win.
Well, the thing about them though is that you're going to run out of cap space eventually. Mm-hmm. Who's going to want to take the pay cut?
Yeah.
They have too many superstars.
They have too many superstars who would be stupid to take the pay cut.
Yeah.
Because they're the best in the league at their position.
Yes, because they have Jalen Ramsey, the best corner in the league, the best defensive lineman in the league, and Aaron Donald.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The best defensive player in the league, that Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
Probably.
I mean,
Well, they were saying that they need to take a kind of Patriots approach when Brady was there, where he would get a group of guys, and obviously towards the latter half of his career, he wouldn't take as much money as he probably deserved to give that money to sign other players.
Yeah.
And that's why he ended up winning 6 rings there, because he was selfless enough to say, I'm going to put the team over myself.
could you see Stafford doing that?
I mean, maybe. I mean,
I think
this is the
that's
best
the only-
situation Stafford's been in, so I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised if he did it, but also he's a premier quarterback.
Yeah.
And I think
I think that's the only shot the Rams had at keeping this sustained. But then,
is if
but
somebody takes a pay cut.
Yeah, but the other thing you have to think about is besides that, even if they are willing to take a pay cut, so let's say they do, these guys are not young superstars.
They
are old.
proven,
they are veteran superstars. They won't be playing much longer.
Yeah, Stafford's old.
Stafford's 31 or 32. He's not that old. Stafford.
He's got another 5 years.
Yeah, Stafford's got at least another 5 years. I'm not talking about Stafford.
Is
I'm
Odell
talking about
30?
Yeah, Odell's like 30.
And then Donald's 30.
I'm talking about Donald. I'm talking about Miller. I'm talking about Odell.
And then
Andrew
Whitworth is retiring.
Andrew Whitworth.
He's retiring.
Those positions you can't have for another 10 years.
No, those guys might come back one more year, but they aren't going to play that much longer. They are literally, most of their guys are like 30. They can't keep. Cam Akers is young. I mean,
Cooper Kupp's young.
But like
young head coach.
Yes, but most of their players
but
are not. They are
their
literally
core best
losing.
Players are not.
Andrew Whitworth is retiring. All 4 of their other linemen are free agents this year. How are they going to bring all of them back?
Yeah, that's something they'll have to figure out.
Odell, yeah. All 4 of their other linemen, free agents. Odell, free agent. Von Miller, free agent. How are they going to bring these guys back?
Yeah,
they're not.
And if they do, it won't be for the long haul.
They'll have to take short
contracts.
I
mean, I'm not saying they're old. They aren't old, but like they're starting to get to the point where like they aren't going to have much more. I mean, Aaron Donald is 30. I would say he's got maybe 2 more. Depending on how he keeps playing. Aaron Donald? Yeah, he's not going to play until he's 35 at defensive tackle. There's no way.
I think he could play another 3.
Yeah.
3 to 5 at most.
I would say 5 at max. We'll have to see how he continues to play. If he keeps playing at this same high level,
he could play another.
All right, whatever. But
I was saying 5 at the utmost.
I think 5 would be the utmost. But I mean, even still, half of these guys aren't going to be playing for 5 more years.
Yeah.
So yes, they built this superstar team. They won now, but they aren't young superstars. The Rams cannot keep this team for the next 5 years.
I think they were just,
and at that point, they don't have any draft picks.
Well,
it's going to hurt them.
I mean, they were just pissed about them losing that first Super Bowl. Now they were like, you know what? We don't care anymore. We're gonna, go out and crazy, and we're gonna get ourselves a ring. But they weren't thinking about the other rings that they could have gotten. By building it up.
Yeah.
I just think that these guys that they have now, I don't think they're going to be able to keep them all. If they
realistically they can't.
Yes, but if they do somehow find a way to keep all of them, it will not be for the long haul. So either way, this whole situation about them trading literally all of their picks is going to hurt them at some point in the
substantially.
Long run. It will hurt them in the long run.
Here was something interesting that I heard. So obviously Sean McVay, he's only 36, and he's the youngest coach to win a Super Bowl, and he's been to 2 of them.
Yeah.
I forget what I heard this on, but somebody was saying he potentially could be as good as Bill Belichick.
Not yet.
And I just want to get you guys' opinions
he's like
on that.
30 years younger.
Well, but also you look at John Madden. John Madden was a young head coach.
That's true too. He only coached for 12 years as a head coach.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like he could have a stint of greatness where Madden won a bunch in the 70s, and then really after the 70s just didn't do much, and then got fired from, or retired from.
I think he retired.
Yeah, he retired from the Raiders.
Yeah, he didn't get fired.
Exactly, he retired from the Raiders and then went on to broadcasting. I don't think that Sean McVay will be coaching another 40 years or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we're just going to have to see. I mean, it's really there's just so many unknowns. I mean, you just don't know. I mean, you can't compare Sean McVay to Bill Belichick because in the present, he is not close.
Well, and also,
you don't know
Sean
where
McVay,
he's going to be 30
and also
years
Sean
from now.
McVay does not have Tom Brady on his team. True.
Yeah, and you don't know where he's going to be 30 years from now. You just don't know.
You don't know what players are going to be in the league either.
Exactly.
Something that he does have in common with Bill Belichick is he has one of those where all of his assistant coaches end up becoming head coaches eventually.
I love Sean McVay. I think he's a great coach. The guys that coach with him are good coaches.
He has a great offensive mind.
Great offensive mind, great coach. His players love him.
They know
love Sean McVay.
He knows how to build a culture.
Yes. And his players love him. in all honesty, I like the Rams. I have no problem with the Rams.
Yeah.
They're a cool
No.
team. I'm just saying that I don't think they can keep
Out
this
of
up.
any team in the NFL, I would like to lose to the Rams.
Yeah. So, I mean,
If I had to choose a team to lose to, I would choose the Rams.
In most games that I'm watching, if the Rams are playing, I'm rooting for them.
Correct.
So I don't mind the Rams at all. I'm just saying, in all honesty, I don't think they can keep up this team they have.
No.
And Sean McVay, I love him. He's a great coach.
From a general manager standpoint, they can't.
Yeah, but I just think Sean McVay, you can't compare him to Belichick. I mean, that's not even a realistic. I mean, that's a ridiculous argument.
Yeah.
But like I was saying, so Zach Taylor was under Sean McVay. His offensive coordinator just got hired by the Vikings,
yeah.
and then Kyle Shanahan was under him for a small stint.
Yeah, Kyle Shanahan was.
Was under him, correct, but also he came from the Mike Shanahan tree of coaching.
Yeah.
The Mike Shanahan tree of coaching had Kyle Shanahan, Matt LaFleur, and also...
I know what you're talking
yeah,
about. But
Sean
at one
McVay.
point he was behind.
Correct.
Yes.
So he said 4 or 5.
I think we're just saying coaches that have coached with him.
Of his
on that
coordinators or
staff.
people that have
Yes.
coached with him that
Yes.
have moved on.
Yeah.
But another thing that was a big headline on the day after, which on that Monday, was this debate that started as because of Stafford now getting out of Detroit and being in LA and winning his first Super Bowl, people were starting to throw around a little bit if he's Hall of Fame worthy or not.
Yes.
And me personally, I think it's too early to tell. I think he has a couple years left, because what do we see? He's 31,
He's
32.
like 31 or 32. He's got a
He
good 5 years,
can
I'd
play
say.
4 or 5 years. And I mean, yes, he was in like a crappy Detroit, and he balled out there. But for me, I think if he, like we were talking about, they're not going to have as good of a team probably in the next couple of years, so his weapons might dwindle a little bit. But I think he'll be on the cusp of the Hall of Fame, because the NFL Hall of Fame is not like the NBA Hall of Fame where they just let anybody in. The NFL Hall of Fame
it's
is
tough.
hard to get into.
Yeah.
Like this year, there were 3 guys that everyone thought were going to be first ballot, and they didn't even
Like
get.
Devin Hester.
Yeah, it was like Devin Hester, DeMarcus Ware, all those guys didn't even get first ballot. So the
NFL is a legitimate Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Those are the
Like,
best
you can't-
guys to ever play football.
You can't toss Hall of Famer lightly in the NFL.
No.
It's difficult to get in.
Yeah.
Stafford's a heck of a quarterback. He's a great quarterback, but I don't know if, when it's all said and done, if he'll have the resume to be Hall of Fame worthy.
I just think that when this conversation comes up for the Hall of Fame committee, when they talk about Matt Stafford, it's going to be a really tough decision and a tough conversation, because, I mean, it's just his career, I don't think, is what it could have been.
Yeah, it could
because
have
he
been.
played in Detroit for 11 years, and they're awful.
Well, what?
Yeah.
But he also.
But it's not
He
his
also
fault, though.
no, I know. He also played very well in Detroit. He had a
He
couple.
has very,
He had some
very
talented
good
players in Detroit.
He was a very good quarterback.
Yeah.
But the thing is, what I'm saying, he will be a Hall of Famer. But
I think he will
listen,
be.
he will be a Hall of Famer. He's not going to be a first ballot. He's going to be one of those guys that's like almost dying when they let him in the Hall of Fame.
I do
Or
agree with
either
that.
almost
I
dying
think
or
he'll
dead.
Get in. I think he'll get in.
Yeah,
Because
I think
they're
he'll
gonna
be on the
they're gonna
cusp.
be
Yeah.
they're gonna be debating it for years after
Yeah.
he was in the league, because like you can not have like the accolades and still make it into the Hall of Fame because of your statistics.
Yeah, I mean,
I think they'll put him in.
I think they'll put him in.
I mean, he's got.
It's going to be a very long time.
Yeah. Well, he's got. I mean, like even in Detroit, he played well in Detroit.
Yeah,
he was always
he
a
has the
top-notch
stats.
player in Detroit. He has the stats, and now he's got the Super Bowl ring.
Yeah, he had the Super
here's-
Bowl ring to
here's
validate
another
it. The
thing.
only thing that could have helped him more was if he somehow won Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah.
That would have put him, yes, that he is 100% a Hall of Famer, but now it's a question mark, so now it's up
think-
to the
yeah.
rest of his career to prove to everyone that he's a Hall of Famer. To solidify.
I think I agree with you. Is that it's just a little bit too early to tell. I think we'll have to see how the next couple of years go. How he continues.
because a
play.
lot of people were saying like, yeah, he's in the Hall of Fame like right now. If he were to go in right now, I was like, no. I think that's a little too much.
If
you look at his accolades,
I think
If you
when it's
retire
all
right
said
now-
and done, like you said, a long time. It'll be a long time, but
Yeah.
I think they'll put him in.
I think
But
if
we'll
he
also have
retires,
to see how the next couple of years.
I think if he retired tomorrow, they would wait a long time, but I think eventually one committee would let him in.
Yeah.
But also, he still has a couple years left to prove
Yeah.
to the committee, yes, he is 100% a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, exactly.
I looked up his accolades before we started this, and he's only been to one Pro Bowl.
Correct. But Pro Bowl is just a
He's playing
popularity
Detroit.
contest.
Yeah.
True, but I mean,
And nobody.
It's still something they
you have to
consider.
be you
Correct.
have to be good to go to the Pro Bowl.
Correct. Yeah, I'm not saying he's not a good player.
No.
But what I'm saying is that he played for the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
So really, the only people watching Matt Stafford are from Detroit and very into football fans.
Yeah.
No, I agree with what you said. That it's going to be a debate, and it's going to be hard because if Stafford wasn't in Detroit, his career outlook would be a lot different.
Yeah.
But just because he was in a terrible team in a crappy organization, he couldn't do as much as he could have done.
If he
but he
went
still
to
did a lot with what he had.
I
But
know,
he,
that's
but he
why
could
I-
have done a lot more with if he was on a better.
if he played for the Colts or the Chiefs or a team that was average and still had the accolades, he would be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
But because he was in Detroit, that's a very that's an asterisk on his whole career because that's the excuse for everything. Him not having an MVP, him not having a playoff win until this year. It's because he played for the worst football team ever.
Yeah. Now here, I got a question for you guys.
Yes.
though. I brought this up a couple days ago, and I got completely ripped for it.
Yes.
So I don't know why. You think about it. Is Cooper Kupp a Hall of Famer?
Cooper Kupp, not yet.
I
Okay.
agree with that, but
He has.
Just
he
think
had.
about
He
it.
had a Hall of Fame level season.
I
this
agree
year.
with you that he's not yet, but just think about it for a second. Hear me out here. Cooper Kupp, the season that he had this year, so he had the receiving triple crown, Super Bowl champ, Super Bowl MVP. Those things that he did this year, only 2 or 3 other receivers have ever done that
And he
in
did
their
it in-
whole career, and
and
he did it in one
season.
year.
Okay, so let's just
So he had-
let's just say
He had as good of a career as some of these guys have ever had within 1 year.
Yeah.
okay, but the thing is, I think he's not a Hall of Famer yet.
I'm not saying I agree he's not yet, but dude, this season he had.
this is-
I mean,
No, this
is
was
the
some,
best.
if you
this
just
is the
take
best
this,
receiver season of all time.
Yes.
Yes.
That nobody's debating that. But the problem
Couple
with
people
your
are
argument is that it's not a
you
long
can take a guess who.
what?
Do that.
The problem with this argument is that it's only one season. This could be a complete fluke season.
Yeah.
And after this, he could just be another mid-level receiver.
Yeah,
people will kind of forget about this season eventually.
I agree.
The thing is, he has to consistently prove it from here on out.
Yeah.
He just has to be a solid wide receiver one from
Yeah.
now on, and he will be in the Hall of Fame. He has
Yes.
to be a solid wide receiver
Yes.
one. Not even
He doesn't have to do this every year. He just has to be the Rams' go-to wide receiver.
Yeah, he has to be like that guy for them,
Yes.
and he will be a Hall of Famer.
And
But
I totally agree
if
with
he
that.
were retired
but I'm just
tomorrow,
saying-
he would not be a Hall of Famer.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. In the end of it, if you're looking at statistics, he has everything any other. He has anything that any other Hall of Fame receiver has, and for a lot of them, more. And he did all of it in this 1 year.
I will say,
So that's
if
all I'm
he
saying.
gets injured next year, career-ending injury, I think they would give him the Hall of Fame. But because of those statistics, but if he keeps playing and he ends up being a bust, they wouldn't.
Yeah, I agree. I think. Well, I mean, I agree. I'm just we're gonna have to just see how he continues to play. He's gonna have to continue to be a good wide receiver one option for the rest of his career. And if he does that, he will be a Hall of Famer.
So we're putting him on
I'm
Hall
just-
of Famer watch.
I'm just saying, man. This season he had. I brought this up earlier this week, and I got totally ripped for it. Everyone was like, "No way, absolutely not." But I'm like, dude, look at what he's done.
I was one of
this
those
year.
people.
I know you were.
Yes.
And I'm like, look at what he's done.
Yes, he is very good, but he's not a Hall of Famer yet.
Okay,
We'll see.
Here's my 2 cents on this. So
Give us 5.
I agree with you, John, that you can't make him a Hall of Famer off of one season. But he did have the greatest receiving season ever, and did what a lot of people in their careers have accomplished in one season, which is phenomenal.
Jerry Rice is one of the only other receivers
Yeah.
to have all of these accomplishments, and he did all of it throughout the course of his entire 20-year career. Cooper Kupp did it in one.
Yeah, but I do.
One season.
Something that I slightly disagree with is.
I mean, Jerry Rice.
Let the man
I'm
speak.
just saying.
Can I talk?
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Let the man speak.
So something that I slightly disagree with is you guys were saying that obviously Cooper Kupp's not going to have this type of thing. Well, I don't think it's just going to be a complete drop off to where he's just an average receiver. He's been a good receiver his entire career, and this year he went to a great receiver. I think he's going to stay. I think he's going to be a top 5 receiver for the next couple of years. I don't think he'll be like 1 or 2 like he is this year, but I think that he'll be top 5, and I don't think he's going to have this. I don't think this was a fluke year. I think if you listen to him and Matt was talking about it, he said they would just run routes for hours and practice together for hours. So they have a connection, obviously, and like John said, they might have one of the best connections of this season. And I think that's just going to continue to go. Obviously, Kupp's not going to have a Hall of Fame season, but he's going to have a good enough season to where he's going to be a top 5 receiver for the remainder of his prime, I guess. And then he might at the end, like we were talking about, might have a Hall of Fame resume, but this season will be the reason why he gets into the Hall of Fame.
Yes, that kind of like the Heisman moment. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like Joe Burrow had like the Heisman winning game for him. Like Manziel had that like Heisman highlight.
Yeah,
that will be the Hall of Fame highlight for him, but it's not enough yet.
Yeah,
I think him winning the Super Bowl and him winning Super Bowl MVP just put a bow on the whole thing. Like everyone was like he had an amazing season, but some people were still questioning it a little bit. But I think after the Super Bowl, you can't question it anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know.
Because, I mean, it's not like he didn't do anything in the Super Bowl. He was the most productive offense player on that offense.
Yes.
And the biggest stage. And I don't think you can question if he had the best receiving season ever. I think it's a no-brainer. And people will say, yeah, he had like he had a couple more games and he was healthy, blah, blah, blah.
One more game.
And in the one more game, he didn't even break any of the records that he was like, people were saying he would. I mean... So I've heard people argue Calvin Johnson, but I think him winning a Super Bowl MVP and winning the Super Bowl puts that to rest.
Well, I mean,
Calvin Johnson.
What I was trying to
because he was breaking Calvin Johnson's records.
Yeah.
What I was trying to say earlier is that, I mean, obviously, like, Jerry Rice is better, and, like, all these guys are better receivers, but, like, I'm just saying that Cooper Kupp might deserve it.
Yeah, no, I think once it's all said and done, I think
the problem is, like, over the course of his career.
Yeah.
But
Which I agree with.
It's not like he's been a average receiver and then he just like had a breakout season. He's been a good receiver
He's been good
his whole career.
In the past,
and
3 years?
That because when we came into the season, we thought that he was going to be the wide receiver 2, and then he shut us up and said,
I thought Robert Woods.
Yeah, we thought Robert Woods was going to be the wide receiver 1, and he was going to be wide receiver 2. So he's always in his career, but at least 1 or 2, and now he's solidified himself as a wide receiver 1 and one of the best wide receiver ones in the NFL.
Yeah.
So I just, I don't. Him and Stafford, it's going to be a toss up. Honestly,
We'll have to just see.
We can't tell right now because obviously they're not going to like leave anytime soon.
They're not going to retire tomorrow, as I was alluding to.
So it'll be interesting. But another like comparison or accolade, I guess, that people were saying that Aaron Donald is the greatest defensive player of all time, and people were making the comparison to him and Lawrence Taylor because he is
Dogs.
Stupid dogs. All right, because he gosh dang it.
Well, I love how I yelled at you. Let the man speak.
Yeah, well, and then I was like, shoot, I'm talking way too much. I talk way too much on these freaking things.
It's okay. All right. So people were saying that Aaron Donald could be better than Lawrence Taylor because a lot of people think that Lawrence Taylor is still the best defensive player, and I just want to get your guys' opinion on that. Do you think that Aaron Donald has surpassed Lawrence Taylor, or do you think that Aaron Donald is nowhere close? I guess you already said no, so you.
I don't think he's like nowhere close. I mean, I don't know. He's not the best defensive player of all time.
He's a top. I'll put him top 5.
Yeah, I mean,
top
5.
I'll put him top 5, but nobody is better than Taylor. And also,
there's different positions.
Exactly. That is the most stupid comparison I think I've ever heard. Comparing a defensive tackle to an outside linebacker, who an outside linebacker has to be in pass coverage.
Yeah.
So it's a dumb comparison, number one. And just number two, Lawrence Taylor was a complete wrecker on the football field. You watch him, he is the guy that everybody on the field is afraid of.
Yeah.
Now, granted, Aaron Donald is feared by everybody, but also it's just, yeah.
I agree. I don't think he's... I mean, he's top 5, but I don't think he's the best defensive player ever.
Yeah.
I think he can be the best defensive tackle ever.
Yes.
Yes. I think he is.
But
Yes.
but defensive player, like you
Defensive
said,
player, that is
like you
a
said,
whole different
there's so
ballgame.
many different
Yeah.
positions, and so many different positions
There
have
are
to do
11
certain
different
things.
It's hard to say. It's hard to say somebody is the greatest player of all time in general, because there are so many different aspects to football and so many different things. You could put so many different players in that category because they were the best ever at their position. Yeah. But I still think that just the versatility of Lawrence Taylor, just the way he was able to be in pass coverage and blitz and completely just wreck people, that combination and his athleticism puts him a little bit above Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
I mean,
And also he has 2 more Pro Bowls.
Yeah, and also they played him in different eras. Like, and the time that Taylor was playing, it was just smash mouth, like beat your head into the ground football. And now people would say it's a little bit softer. But
is.
with you,
It's more of a passing league.
Describing Taylor, this might be a little bit out there, but I was thinking in my mind, Micah Parsons, like a mini Lawrence Taylor, because Micah Parsons is a linebacker, but he plays defensive end. He's insanely athletic, and he's made an impact at the first year. I'm not saying he's going to be
Correct.
Lawrence Taylor, but like
As a
They're similar players.
Yeah,
they
they're
have very
similar
similar
players.
play styles. Like us saying Joe Burrow has a similar play
Yes.
style to like Aaron Rodgers
Yes.
or something.
Yes.
They have very similar playing styles to where you can put Micah Parsons or Lawrence Taylor a lot of positions on the football field, and they're going to be a freak at it.
Yeah,
But Lawrence Taylor is was the most dynamic player in football.
Yeah.
And also, his shoulder pretty much got ripped apart during a game against the Saints, and he played through it. They put him in a massive sling thing, like a brace for his shoulder. He played through it and had one of his best statistical games of his career on a screwed up shoulder.
yeah.
Well, I didn't know this till literally just now, but Lawrence Taylor won the freaking MVP in 1986.
Yes. Yeah.
Well,
You can't, like,
A
obviously
defensive-
he's better than Aaron Donald. They have a freaking outside linebacker, the most valuable player in the NFL. Like,
some people have.
Like,
I
what?
have heard some people argue that Aaron Donald should have had an MVP, but it's
He
a
should have had an
quarterback
MVP.
award.
I mean, yeah, probably, but like now, like the MVP has
The
MVP's always been like a quarterback, running back type
exactly.
of award.
The
They gave it to an outside linebacker.
The MVP,
Like,
the MVP has been centered around offensive players way too much because it's flashy and it's
It's
cool.
like the Heisman too.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
flashy and it's cool, and everyone likes seeing a bunch of numbers. You know what I mean? Like, but nobody is respecting smash mouth football players as much as they should.
Yeah, but either way, it don't matter how you. It doesn't matter how you look at it. Aaron Donald should have, he could have, whatever. Taylor did.
Yeah.
Like I mean, this guy has won. They gave him the MVP of the
They
NFL,
said
an outside linebacker.
They said, "Screw these quarterbacks and running
Right.
backs. He is the best player in football, and we do not care."
yeah, and Aaron Donald, they haven't done that to.
Yeah.
I mean, you can say coulda, shoulda, woulda. It doesn't matter. Lawrence Taylor did it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What year?
Like
What year?
86.
86.
Yeah.
There were a lot of good quarterbacks back then, so
Yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah, I didn't know that until just now, but I think that kind of helps my argument even more. I mean, I already didn't think he was better than Lawrence Taylor. It's a dumb comparison.
Yeah.
But that just makes it even more solid that
Exactly.
he won the MVP of the NFL.
That was a Twitter comparison, so people on Twitter sometimes are a bit out there.
They are out there.
Yeah.
They're
I
all-
love Twitter though. Twitter's hilarious.
Yeah.
Twitter-
I love watching Twitter.
It's a bunch of stupid people who don't know football making people who know football mad.
Yeah. Well, I started following he's a Bengals writer for Sports Illustrated, and he tweets a ton of stuff, and him him and other like Bengals, I guess, insiders or people that work right on the Bengals have been debating on who they should like get in the draft and who they should pick up in free agency and stuff, and it's just been funny to watch.
A lineman.
Well, they're all saying lineman, but it's like which lineman they want to get.
All of them.
Yeah.
Anyone that can play.
Yeah.
Anyone that isn't a revolving door.
Yeah, somebody that can block something.
But I am like, for me personally, this was the most I have ever really watched the NFL and been into it, and it was. But I'm kind of glad that like we're in the off season because I love the off season. I love players getting traded, players moving. I love the draft.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I love seeing how the general man. I love seeing like what the general managers and like how they like
build the team.
Yeah,
how they build
I love
the
team
I
building.
love like the team aspect to where like it's they're playing chess in the off season.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I do like about the NFL that I think some sports should copy is they have free agency first and then they have the draft. So then
I think it's better that way because then like
you get your needs, and then the needs that you don't get in free agency you can fill with.
You get your needs, and then you can get your wants.
Yeah.
Or you can kind of, I mean, if you're looking at more building through the draft, then you kind of, you can make a draft plan and be like, all right, like, we're going to target these guys here. And then in free agency, you get the guys that you need to fill holes with. So it's like, it's kind of like, the Bengals, like, more pick up a couple of free agent linemen that can make a difference now, but then, in the draft, we need to draft these guys.
Yeah. I think, obviously we're all Bengals fans, so I think we all have like a dream scenario in our head for how this offseason's going to go. And I think if we sign like Armstead or Scherf, how we were talking about, and we re-sign Jesse Bates and draft a bunch of linemen, I think we'll be set. But I do think we have to save a little bit of money. We can't just go spend all of it because we're gonna have to pay.
Eventually pay.
We're gonna have to pay Burrow,
T.
Mixon, Chase, T, Boyd, all those guys. So we're gonna need to keep a little bit of money extra to pay.
No, I'm not saying go out and spend our entire freaking
No,
salary.
I know that.
But I think that they should spend a pretty good chunk.
We
of it
should
towards
spend
the line,
at least
though.
half.
More than half.
More than half.
Like 3/4.
They
I was saying
need to spend a pretty sizable chunk.
That's why I said at least. The minimum they need to spend is half.
If the general manager does not go out and get a lineman, he should be fired instantly.
I totally agree.
Because if
you
watch the playoffs,
yeah.
you're thinking, "Oh, I need to help my quarterback out, or I'm not going to have him very much longer."
Franchise quarterback.
Franchise running back, franchise receivers, franchise pretty much everything.
I'm talking about the quarterback, dude. Joe Burrow's getting killed back there. They have
Mixon's getting killed back there too.
Well, but he led the league in rushing, or third in the league in rushing still somehow.
Yeah,
but
that speaks volume to Mixon.
I know. I'm still concerned about Burrow, dude. Like they have a guy that's like getting Tom Brady comparisons. You can't waste that.
No.
Exactly.
All right, before we end, John, I have a question for you that's not related to football. So you're a Pacers fan, and I'm a Kings fan, and obviously we made a big trade this past week.
Yes.
I just want to get your thoughts on that trade.
You guys are complete and utter imbeciles.
Nothing new.
Yeah. I mean, you guys we gave you Sabonis. Who else we give you? Lamb?
Sabonis, Lamb, Justin Holiday, and a second-round pick.
Yeah. And you guys...
For Buddy Hield, Tristan Thompson, and Tyrese Halliburton.
We've already waived Tristan Thompson because he was washed.
Yep.
And now we have Halliburton, who is...
averaging like 30 for you.
He's getting like 30 points a game, and he's only like 22.
Yeah.
And Buddy Hield, who is a very solid player. So
you guys are definitely looking good for your rebuild.
Yeah. Yeah, when they said we're going through a rebuild, I'm like, well, that's great. I was actually happy.
Forever.
I was happy about that because we have been painfully mediocre.
Yeah.
Since I've paid attention to basketball, we have been like either like the top of the lottery picks to where we get no good picks in the lottery. The Pacers have never had a top 5 draft pick in the National Basketball Association. We have been painfully mediocre for so long. We haven't won a championship since the ABA. I mean, I'm glad that Rick Carlisle said, you know what? We just need to scrap everything, restart, get the players I want in there, and play how he wants to play. Because he's won a championship. He knows how to do it. So we just got to trust him, and hopefully the rebuild goes well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the Pacers are definitely heading in the right direction. And as a Kings fan, obviously, when I saw the news, I was shocked. Obviously,
Because how old's Sabonis? Like 28?
25.
Oh, okay, 25.
So he's still really young.
He's young-ish, but also Halliburton is a significantly better player.
He can potentially be a
That's what I'm
significantly better player. Yeah.
He has more time to become a better player.
So at first I was like, what the heck? That was the worst trade you could have ever made. But now I don't mind it that much. I mean, obviously I would have liked to keep Tyrese Halliburton. I would have rather trade Davion Mitchell and give you guys Davion Mitchell because he's like 23.
We wouldn't have taken that trade, though.
Yeah, I know. But I wish you would have.
So you'd rather us be screwed over instead of...
Yeah, I'd rather screw your team than my team.
I'm just saying, like, no halfway decent GM would ever take that trade.
Well, yeah.
How desperate were you guys?
We haven't made the playoffs in 17 years. So they're pretty desperate.
So they've been a rebuild for the last 17 years.
Yes. But I think him and Fox are going to do well. They're obviously already meshing. But, I mean, you can't give up on, like, a future all-star like that. Yeah. I don't think it's as bad as everyone thought it was, but I don't think it was good either.
It hasn't blown up on their face yet.
It will eventually.
Yeah.
So
Eventually.
When he is holding up the Naismith Trophy.
that might be a while.
Yes. No, next year. Trust me. We are rebuilding immediately.
Jeez. All right. Anything else before we wrap up? Anything else you guys got?
No, not really. Other than the Pacers will rebuild as quickly as the Bengals did.
Hot take right there.
We'll see.
All right. Well, that is all we have for today. I hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you guys in the next one.